The Pledge of Allegiance, right here. I pledge allegiance
allegiance
to the
to
flag
the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
Republic
for which it stands,
One nation.
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty,
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
Everybody got it.
Yeah, it's not exactly coordinated, but it works. Thank you all for showing up. First order of business is to open the public hearing on the proposed budget. We've all looked at that. And I'll just make a couple general comments before I entertain any comments. We've kept the budget below the tax cap once again, thanks to Jan's good work. We have built in a 20% reduction in state aid next year, a 20% reduction in CHIPS funding. And I'll comment that the highway funding is actually less because it's a 20% cut in CHIPS, but we don't get any paving New York and we don't get any extreme weather. So that really is about 40% in terms of what we'll be able to do on the roads. But we've got a budget that's, like I said, it's balanced, it's within the tax cap. And I think we've done the best that we can. We have gotten some of our CHIPS money for this year. We still have some outstanding. We're optimistic we'll get that. And I think, Jan, you indicated we'll get our state aid in December. if
Correct.
that's correct.
Correct.
So floor is open for any comments regarding the budget.
There was mentioned something about that pickup truck.
Yeah, yeah, and what we did, and this was Matthew's recommendation, which I think we all thought was the correct recommendation. So we put the $3,500 in the budget to trade in the pickup each year, as we have been doing. And so we made that adjustment, and I think it's the right one. So thanks, Matthew, for that.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay, then, yes, Christelle?
Yes, hi. I don't see the budget, but I just have a general question. Do you guys have allocated some money for the sidewalk?
No, sidewalks is not a town budget line item.
Okay, just curious.
Okay, good question.
Okay, thanks.
If there are no other comments, then I move that we close the public hearing. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. And now we'll go to open the monthly town board meeting. And the first item of business I would like to bring up is the budget. And what I'd like to propose is that we adopt the budget as it has been presented. May I have a second?
I would second.
Thank you, Wendy. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Jan, for making that work.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. It was a lot of work and everybody chipped in, and I appreciate everybody's attentiveness to getting this done, because with the budget cuts, it was a little more challenging this year, to say the least. Would you agree, Jan?
I would agree 100%. It was a challenge this year. I would highly recommend next year you seriously consider overriding the tax cap, because you're just eating away at your fund balance. And the only way not to use all your fund balance is to override the tax cap. If you stay under the tax cap continuously, you just are not bringing enough revenue in to offset some of these expenses. And, you know, if the state continues to cut funding, you're going to have to go over the tax cap. I know there were a few towns this year that did go override it, and that was their reason. The ones that I talked to was because of the fund balance getting just dwindling down.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have been below the tax cap since it went into effect. And that's certainly something we'll look closely at next year. So I appreciate that comment, Jan. I think the next order of business is to look at any bids we have on the property. What do we have, Jan?
I have one and I'll show it to you so that you know that I have it and it's sealed. Here it is. I don't know if you can see it. It is sealed and I will open it if you want me to now.
Yeah,
We have a bid of on 30 acres plus or minus land between Hartsville Hill Road and Hamilton Hill Road for $15,222 from Garrett Whittle. And that is the only bid we've received.
what was the number again, Jan, please?
15,222. And he is here if anybody has any questions.
Any comments?
Well, can we discuss openly what we talked about as a board based on the assessor's input?
Yes, the assessor tells us that between 1,000 and 2,000 an acre is the going price for land. So that would put this somewhere between 30 and 45,000. So based on that information, this number would be low.
Garrett's gonna explain. Go ahead. Can you hear him?
Guys,
We
I don't
can't
know if
see
you guys
it,
are
Jan.
actually familiar with that piece of property. It actually borders a large portion of my property. It's a narrow strip that runs through. There's a big ravine back in there. There's several spots that have been dump sites back in there before I owned my property for decades. There's been garbage dumped in several different places. There's tires all over back there. And there's the big ravine back there. It's not like it's a building lot or a prime piece of property whatsoever. The only reason that I'm actually interested in is I'm afraid of what type of neighbors I might get over there with a bunch of people running around trespassing on the property that I do have. And so out of, fear of that is why I try to make, as reasonable an offer as I thought on that is what it's worth that much to me because it's next door to me. But other than that, it's not worth even $1,000 an acre. It's kind of an overgrown dump site in there. And if anybody wants to look at that, I'd be happy to show you the specs because I'm familiar with it. It kind of makes you cringe as to what's dumped and half buried back in there. So it's not prime real estate, but it's worth something to me because it borders a large portion of my property. And that's why I believe that 15,000 is, obviously nobody else even bid $500 on it because it's just not a real desirable piece, even though it's not garbage back there. Well, there is actually a lot of garbage back there, but it's not like it's a piece of property that's junk. But it's just all this is a buffer zone for me to, kind of protect the peaceful, quiet area that I have on my own land right now is why I'm the only reason I'm even interested in it. So I think if you take that into consideration and see what's really there, this is not prime real estate. This is not $1,000 an acre, $1,500 an acre property. It's nothing like anything like that. And if any of you are familiar with it, you'll understand that. Or I'd be happy to go up there and take a look with you, and you'll be cringing when you see some of the stuff that's going to have to be removed from in there or just left the way it is. It's kind of, it's a overgrown dump site, sadly.
Okay, that's good information, Garrett. We're aware of the fact that, the town had maintained it as a place to store excess materials and
You know, and it's not even the probably the town stuff, it's just like, you know, those the old plows they had in there, the different
right, and that's
drainage
we've been
pipes
in
and
the
stuff, that wasn't
process
even
of
anything.
cleaning that out.
I'm talking about garbage and tires that's further into the property that I'm sure was illegally dumped in there. I doubt that the town put this type of stuff in there. When I bought that, I owned it, what used to be the cabin property there. When I bought that, I was still removing stuff from that, but that was an unbelievable dump site in there. And apparently this piece next door there that belonged to you guys is, you know, was just a continuation of that. There's just unbelievable stuff that people dumped in there. And I'm sure the town didn't authorize that and didn't do any of that particular dumping that we're talking about here. That, you know, the old plows and the old culvert pipes and that were up there, that wasn't garbage. That was, you know, scrap metal up in there, but that wasn't garbage. And I guess you guys, you know, removed some of that out there, but that's not the stuff I'm talking about. That stuff there is a problem. You can get rid of that. This other stuff is garbage, you know, nasty things and tires and stuff. So it's, and I'm sure the town didn't put any of that in there.
Anybody, any comments from the board?
I think it's, I've walked some of the property. I haven't walked all of it. You know, it's definitely not prime real estate, but it's still, there's still some fairly sizable sections of usable land there. So I think it's worth considering what our options are. You know, whether it's worth investing in cleaning it up or just marketing it some more or whatever.
Did the tax assessors possibly count on as a time of year we're advertising that possibly it would be better in the spring or something like that?
We didn't talk about it in terms of timing, but that is certainly a possibility. Other comments from the board? What's your feeling on this?
Well, my feeling is that the tax assessor put the value of somewhere between 30 and 45. It seems like she should know what the value of the property is, and we should get somewhere in that area, possibly.
I said, you know, I own a lot of other property in a lot of other towns and that too. You won't get 35 or 40 for that if you hold on to that for 10 more years. That's just not that kind of piece of property. I mean, you might be able, if you cleaned up in there and you advertise right now, you might find somebody from up by the city that'll pay more than what I'm offering you on it. But that's, you know, that's not that corner there is not a good, that's not anything that's really in demand, especially with what's going on there. I mean, just to update you on that, I mean, that's not anything close to prime real estate. Nobody wants to say, well, here's a couple acres over here that are clean. Nobody wants that in their yard or in their property to be responsible for the kind of stuff that's in there. So it's not that $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 thing is, you know, whether I bought it or didn't buy it, that's not something you're ever going to get from anybody, is my opinion on this. And I'm pretty up to speed on the values of different properties and what's worth what in the area, in the whole county, different townships and that. I own some other pieces right here in the town of Alfred, and it's just not, I wouldn't even talk about that piece of property if it wasn't something that bordered very like 2/3 of my property. So that's why I hate to think of what might be going on back in there with it's sold to somebody that's in there tearing it up with 4-wheelers or in there shooting the place up. It's just not what I'm looking for to have neighbors in there. That's why I'm here having a conversation with you about it now.
Okay, any other comments from the board?
Maybe you can refresh my mind. I can't quite remember this, Dan, but there was a figure we had for the building. This is the whole object of selling this property was for building possibly, you know,
Right.
that cold storage building. What was that? This doesn't come even close to that though, does it?
No.
No. So really it wouldn't fulfill the objective of building that cold storage building.
That's true. I mean, that's the reason that we're trying to sell this, but in terms of the value of the land, I think I'm inclined to follow the guidance from the assessor, and maybe we can reconsider this, but I'm inclined not to accept this offer, given what we have gotten from our assessor at this point. What do the rest of you feel?
Yeah, I think we can revisit it, but I think it would make sense to decline the offer for now.
Ian, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. For now, if we had more than one bid and they were in that same range, then I think we could discuss it. But with one bid at this point, we should hold off.
Wendy, how about you?
I'm sure I should have gone up to look at it in person prior to this. I would think maybe before hard winter or in the spring, we should go look at it and make sure that we all have a common understanding of what it is before we go down make any decision to sell it.
Okay, that's good advice. Okay, well then, based on that, I'm going to move that we reject the offer. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I
Opposed? Opposed? Okay, Garrett, thank you for making an offer on it. Maybe in the future we can get together on it.
That's I wanted to ask you a couple of questions on that. Since I am the only one that showed any interest in the piece of property, it did make a offer within your time frame. I'm wondering if we could possibly take a look at the property, or maybe even have the assessor go up in there and let her see firsthand what really goes on in there, and what the lay of everything actually is in there, and maybe we could deal with each other, out of respect of me being the only one bidding, and you guys looking for what you're looking for, and I might be willing to move a little bit on it, but it's not that 35 and 40,000 thing is not something that it's just. I can guarantee you, from my years of experience, that's not going to happen ever on that piece of property. So, I understand you might want to get more out of it, and that may be possible to do, but just numbers that they're talking about right now are just not even realistic for that particular piece of property. But I'd be more than happy to go up in there and, because I know where the junk is up in there. I've owned next door there for years and years and years, and go and show you some of the things that are actually issues in there, and in the way things lay in there, and you see that it's a piece of hunting property at best up in there with that ravine and the junk and stuff up in there. And what I'm saying is that I'd appreciate the courtesy of dealing with me first before you just put it out there again. If you decide to do that, by the time you miss taxes, and again, if you hold on to it or spend the money to clean things up in there, how much does that really change the bottom line on it by the time you deduct those expenses? So I'm wondering if we could work together a little bit and see if we can work something out that's a little more suitable to work for both of us, or all of us, I should say, and go with that. We'll try that first before we just throw this to the curb and go public again with it.
Well, I think the more eyes we get on the property, the better. And I think we should make sure that all the board members have looked at it and get the assessor up there. I think that would be a good idea. And then if we put it up again, it'll have to go out to bid. So it would be a bid process again. And hopefully you'll bid on it again, Garrett.
Yeah, we can definitely keep you in the loop, but it's a little different from a regular property sale because it does belong to the town.
Yeah, well, all right, I appreciate that, but like I say, it's the only reason it's worth that to me is because it's next door to me, so I'm not looking to spend a whole lot more than that on it either. But whatever you guys got to do, I wanted to talk to you about it, and if you think you're going to be in a better situation going a different route, then let's got to do whatever you think you got to do.
Well, thanks we appreciate you coming in and telling us your perspective on it. And like I said, I think we'll get some more eyes on the property, make sure everybody's seeing the same thing, including the assessor. And when we put it up to bid again, we may have a different idea of what it's worth. So,
Okay, all right, thanks.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Just wanted to send-
Okay, let's go to the next item of business. The minutes, you all got a copy of the minutes. Is there any additions or corrections?
Looked good.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Hi,
Okay, great. Thank you. Police report, you got an electronic copy of the police report. It looked fairly regular. Any comments on that? Okay. Did we get a report from the code enforcement officer, Jan?
No,
Okay. I know he's been busy because I've seen some of his documents, but okay. The monthly report.
Hold on a sec. In that area, does anybody know what's going on in Pleasant Valley?
yes.
Pleasant Valley. With regard to,
Well, it just looks like there's a good sized construction going on up there.
Jen, can you talk about that?
Where is this?
I have to be careful because of possible litigation
Okay,
down.
okay.
Well, wait, Jan.
But
we
it's
can
my
always do-
understanding they're building a barn with a riding rink for horses up there. They have not submitted a permit yet.
That was what I was wondering.
Has Steve's been up there, right?
Yes,
Okay, so we're on the case.
Okay.
yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Anything else along those lines? So the monthly report. You all got a copy of that?
Just to highlight, you can see that we did receive a good chunk of our CHIPS money. We received that in October. And I believe we should be getting the rest of it by December, along with our state aid.
Yeah, we've got about 17,000 outstanding with chips.
I believe so, right, Bob?
I do believe so, yes.
The, in the DA fund, as far as snow removal, I see we got 15,000. Is that going to get us through December?
Payroll or supplies or
Supplies.
sand?
Yes, and
I hope so.
so do I. Yeah, because it looked a little low, but of course we had a mild November so far, so maybe the weather's on our side. Otherwise, I didn't see any problems with it. Any comments on the monthly report? Okay, correspondence. Jan, did we have any correspondence?
No, just what I've sent to you through email.
Okay, right, various training programs and
Yeah,
like, yeah, through the Association of Towns.
I really don't understand what that was that I sent today from that's reviewing the solar farm.
Yeah.
That's news to me. I really, that was totally,
Is that
We
the
read-
agency that would normally
We
be
read
involved?
it.
did Bill look it over?
Yeah,
Here he is.
Historic Preservation Office. Yeah, it seemed strange.
Well,
Yeah.
the Historical Preservation Office is connected with the DEC. And I believe what's happening is Buffalo Solar has notified them, and they are, that Buffalo Solar is going to engage in the seeker process that is going to be required for their special use permit. I emailed a gentleman by the name of Daniel Boggs, who is a DEC representative, and asked him, gave him the case number, and asked him if there was anything we should know about their investigation into the solar farm, that we also were reviewing it for compliance with our newly enacted solar law since they were the first project. And I'm waiting for a response from him.
Now, is this the one at the intersection of Randolph and Lake?
Yes,
And that's the one you sent me an email about, that you guys had reviewed it, is that correct?
yes, that's the same one.
Okay, so in your judgment, they're complying with our solar law at this point, right? Short of doing
At this point, they're in compliance with the solar law. Going forward, they need a building permit, and they're going to need their seeker study, and they'll have to have, the ZBA will have to grant them a special use permit, I believe.
Okay, so far, they're all right. They're in the process.
So far, they're looking good. It looks like it's actually, I think, better documentation than the previous program that Buffalo Solar put out.
Now, what's the name of the organization that's constructing this?
The name of the organization, the LLC, is Alfred Community Solar Garden LLC.
Okay,
Buffalo
right.
Solar is the company that's actually going to do the installation. They're the ones that have sent us the plans that you're seeing on the screen now.
all right. I'm with you now. And they are the ones who were going to do it on McHenry Valley.
That's correct. Apparently something about the lease didn't work out, and they moved their project up to Randolph and Lake Road.
Okay, good.
I'm surprised.
Go ahead, Fian.
Yeah, I thought that a solar array of any size needed to be situated nearby high voltage lines. That there's
They are going to run new 3-phase lines from that installation down Randolph Road to the 3-phase line that comes up South Main Street.
wow. Okay.
So
That's what I said. That's an expensive endeavor, but
yeah, they have to go all the way to South Main?
I believe that's where the 3-phase line comes up. It actually goes up over Jericho Hill. So yes, they'll have to come back at least that far to tie into it.
Yeah. Well, more power to them.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
That's the thing. There's no more power than there was before.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Okay, if we can move to the general abstracts. You all got a copy of those. Okay, so we got floodlights. Those are the ones that Bob put in, right? Is that the $800 Energy Solutions? Are those the outside ones, Bob? Or some, or
Yes.
Jan, or somebody?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
One by my door, one by the back by the boardroom, and then one right on top that shines out into the parking lot so that it's much brighter around here now.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And they're, are they motion sensitive or time or light?
No, we just have
Automatic
to
on and
remember,
off?
just have to remember to turn them on when we leave at night.
Oh, okay. And then the doors, that was the new door for the shop, the man door for the shop?
Correct.
And then you took the old man door from the shop and put where the dog kennel was, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that worked out good. Okay, any comments on the general abstracts? Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Highway. So snow plow blades, tires for the Mack truck.
He's just going down through.
Nothing really unusual there I'm seeing. Anybody have any comments on the highway abstracts?
No comment.
Okay, is there a motion to pay these bills?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, it carries. Thank you all. Bob, highway report.
We put 2 outside lights around the clerk's office meeting room. Made a hydraulic tank for the broom, picked up the roller from Jordan Street when it had that hydraulic tank that we talked about last month, sorry. Fixed road signs, took branches down, fixed the trailer hub on the equipment trailer. Put the plow frame on the pickup, took the dog kennel down, worked on the power broom, worked on trucks and sanders, put the winter tires on the Mack, on the 2014 Mack. Filled potholes with blacktop on Pleasant Valley, East Valley. Helped Andover out with a dump truck. Replaced driveway pipe on Mullen. Cut brush on Burdick, Ormsby, and East Valley. Blacktop some holes on Oak Ridge. Sanded roads and helped Allegheny County out on County Route 12 and started pulling shoulders on East Valley.
Nice little early test run there.
Yes, it was.
Just a couple things. The outside lights, I think that was precipitated by the events of a month ago where we had a couple guys slinking around the building.
Yeah.
And we thought we needed some better illumination. So Bob got right on that. So thank you for doing that, Bob.
Yep.
And then taking the dog kennel down, that reminds me, we have to modify that agreement, right? With,
Yes.
I believe Elman is gonna rewrite it and send us a copy of it.
okay.
Is
because-
that what Daphne told you, Bob?
Yeah, they're gonna remodify it and send it to you.
Okay, because it was, the original agreement was not for a full calendar year's agreement, and they're gonna make it so that should work out okay. Any questions for Bob? Thank you for all your good work, Bob.
Yep, that's what I'm here for.
All right. Supervisors report.
Hey, Dan.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're seeing the chat. I just saw Kathy Chambers had asked if there would be a public hearing on the solar farm project. I don't know if you'd seen that or not.
I wasn't following the chat, but yes, because they'll need a special use permit. Right, Bill?
That's correct, yes.
Thanks for the question, Kathy. Okay. So, okay, so the sidewalk. So we did a walk along the sidewalk. It was me, Wendy, Bill Cleveland, Jim Ninos, Pete McLean, and from the committee that wrote the grant, also David Gottlieb, and then from Clark Patterson, Jim Basile, and a young man named Nick, who had the wheel. I think that was everyone. And so what we did was we walked from Dollar General up to the intersection of Sugar Hill Road and 244, just so we could, get a hands-on idea of what the project would look like. And so the nature of the discussion is still, in terms of highlights, it would be 16 feet from the center line of travel lane and shoulder, up to 5 feet of tree lawn and a 5-foot curb and sidewalk. Now that totals 26.5 feet. The right-of-way is 25. So in some places, we would have to ask, or DOT would have to ask for a 1.5-foot easement to get to 26.5 where it's needed. So going along, starting from Dollar General, at Dollar General, there would be a crosswalk with flashing yellow lights that are pedestrian activated. There would be a bus stop shelter on both sides of the road for when the bus is going, each direction, both the Hat bus and the Allegheny County bus. There'd be storm drains on both sides where needed to take the water that hits the curb and the water that's behind it. In some places, like up at Judge Stearns, because the culvert and the guardrail that's on the Dollar General side of Stearns property is located where it is, we're proposing to DOT that we follow the same sight line as the guardrail all the way past Stearns' house. So it would only intrude on his property 1.5 feet from where the asphalt is now. So that would be a big plus, I think, for Stearns if DOT will buy it. Then going up to, the other thing, and Jan, I think this would pertain to you, the Alfred Rural Cemetery. Those 2 posts at the entryway, we could either leave them or move them back, and the contract would move them back. It would be up to the cemetery as to what they want to do. So, well, if this goes forward, we'd have to talk more about that.
Who would pay to move them?
The
The
contract,
contractor.
yeah. It would all be covered under the grant. The last part then is we'd go up to where Sugar Hill Road intersects 244, and that would be the crosswalk to the south side of 244 with flashing pedestrian activated lights. And then the sidewalk would go along in front of the ceramic corridor until it meets the sidewalk by Surview. Now, we've also asked if we can get some lighting along there where people would want it, if the contract has enough money for it. So where it stands now is the engineers are redrafting based on the things we talked about. Then they have to get DOT to buy in. And then we need to contact again all the property owners to get their feedback. So I think those of you who went along, did I miss anything?
Good.
No, I think you covered it well.
And the water line would go on that same side, right, Jim? Is that your understanding?
Correct. That's correct. It would follow the sidewalk.
Jim, I had a question. How far up into the village is that water line replacement project going?
all the way into the village. It goes all the way up to the supply tanks, which would, both of them. New one that's gonna go behind the little playground that's up there on Pine Hill Drive. And the other source, water line sources on the top, at the top of Spruce Street and Pine Hill Drive, there's a access road that goes up to the top of the hill. And that line will also be those. I think the project's going to start in that area until we can work out exactly how the Alfred Station end of the project is going to take shape. So I'm thinking that possibly maybe even this winter or early spring, they'll start construction on that project. It'll be the Alfred University water meter. It'll be the new water tower, and the water lines through the village is where the project, I believe, is going to start.
So will there be a lot of sidewalk work because of that through the village then?
Most of the water lines run under the streets.
Okay.
How about down near the Surview? Is it under the street there?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of how the lines, I'm not exactly sure. That's something to look
Okay.
into.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments on the sidewalk or the water line? Okay, if you think of something, we can go back. I'd like to have Wendy talk to us. Wendy has been our representative on a committee that's been meeting. And with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to her.
It's a committee that started about August, initially with the village and the colleges, and then the town got looped in, focusing on inclusiveness and safety and policing. And in the same time frame, whenever the state came out with their policing reform review process, those two wound up being put together, which made the mission very confused for a while, and we didn't really get too far until quite recently. But just this week, you may have seen a survey in the Sun or on the village website asking for input. They tried a listening session very early in September. I wasn't able to attend, and apparently there wasn't a lot of real effective listening. There were a lot of things bandied about, but it wasn't really an effective forum. So they backpedaled and have now sent out this survey. I would encourage you and encourage you to encourage others to fill that survey out. It's kind of a neat. If you know what a QR code is, you can just hold your smartphone up at the QR code, and I picked it right off the regional news, and lo and behold, it went to the survey. It was really quite painless to fill out. But they're really looking for input on safety, a sense of inclusiveness and community in the village and town. And it very clearly talks about the Alfred community. There's not very many places that it says village exclusively. It does keep referring to the Alfred Village Police Department, but it really is talking about the Alfred community in a slightly larger sense. That feedback is going to go into the process of the review of policies and all that have been required by the governor, and there's a pretty clear roadmap that you have to go through for that. So there's the main group, and then there's a subgroup focusing more on inclusion, and the committee is called the Alfred Committee on Equity and Safety, ACES, which I thought was kind of confusing, but equity and safety. So one group is focusing more on the sense of inclusion, and the other is focusing more on the policing end and the administrative end of it. So there's the main group, and then I'm participating in the more administrative end of it. So between the two, there's weekly meetings, and anybody who wants to come participate would love to have more, but we're really hoping to get good response to this survey. It's gone out extensively through the campuses, faculty, residents, you name it, they tried to get there. And I really think that QR code approach will help.
So an Alfred Station resident who's not associated with either campus, how would they learn about this?
Like I said, the article in regional news, I know it's on the village website, Fee, and we should probably get something about it on our website.
Sure.
They
Is
were
it
doing,
Alfred's son too?
I believe so. I believe it's going to be in the Sun. The implementation was long on lead up to and then quick on implementation itself because they wanted to get it out before the students left. Because 3 months or however long before they're back, you wouldn't get responses then.
Well, thank you for all the time that you're spending on this. And hopefully it'll be beneficial. Sounds like it.
Hopefully get some good input.
Yeah. And what does the QR stand for?
Oh, Fian, a QR code. Oh,
Is that little thing that you,
it looks like a barcode, but it's all
Yeah,
funny little
yeah,
spots
yeah,
instead
yeah.
of bars. But
okay,
it does stand for something. I can't tell you what.
I can't either.
Quick something, I think. But
Okay.
literally, you aim your smartphone at it, and it just goes
Take a
through the
picture?
link. No,
With
you
your
just
camera?
aim it at it. It requires an app on your smartphone.
Oh.
That's one. That right there. Thank you, Christelle. You aim your phone. You have to have an app. You aim your phone at it, and you line it up within some boundaries, and then it just takes you to the survey.
What if you
Wow.
don't have a smartphone?
Yeah, the option of getting one on paper exists. They're encouraging electronic because it turned out to be 17 pages long. It was pretty spread out. It's not 3 million questions, but when printed, it was 17 pages long. But yes, the hard copies are available. Hi, Christelle.
Pion just put the link on the chat, and that's where I did it.
Oh, that's great. Oh, thank you so much.
It's Pion.
Okay.
Thanks to Pion.
The hard copy is available at the Village Hall.
Okay, good. Well,
I'll
hopefully
post it on
it'll,
our website too.
it'll work out and we'll get some meaningful benefits from it. Thank you, Wendy, for all the time you're spending. Question for Bill. I guess Jan just got it recently. I don't know where it came from, but this New York State Unified Solar Permit application. Are you familiar with that, Bill?
Yeah, I've read an article about it. It is the state's way of expediting siting of solar farms in different areas around the state.
Well, I think,
Technically, what they do is they fill out that application, they send it to the state, and then the state comes to the town or the municipality and tries to strong arm you into putting it where they recommend.
nice.
It's kind of an end run around our town rule or our home rule, but as long as you're cooperative or receptive to the projects, they probably wouldn't bother us.
Well, the reason I mentioned it was, and this may not make any sense at all, but I didn't know if it was something we could use for an application for a permit in the town, rather than make up our own questionnaire or application. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I could look at it and see if it's
Yeah, I think
something.
Jan's got it. Take a
Okay,
look, see what you think.
all right.
Thank you. The last thing I have, again, pertains to the planning board. With Jason Whitwood's move south, and I think he's gone. I'm not sure. It's been a lot of activity at his house, but moving trucks and all kinds of activity. But at any rate, we have an opening on the planning board, and the name of Roger McGraw came up as a candidate, and I'm throwing that out there to the board. It seemed like a good idea to me. And I'd be willing to contact him to see if he's interested.
Sounds
Any
good.
comments?
Yeah, he'd be,
I think he'd be a good candidate for it.
agreed.
Yeah, I think that'd be great if he's willing.
Okay. All right, I'll contact him on behalf, or do you want to contact? Well, I guess I should. I was gonna say, do you want to do it, Bill? But I think it should come from us, the town board. So I'll contact him and see if he's willing to be on the board. I think that'd be great.
The planning board unanimously thought he would be a good fit. So,
Yeah, I think we agree. Okay, town clerk's report. Jen, anything?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Committee reports, in essence, we've gotten that from both Bill and Wendy. Any new business that we should address?
Have we heard anything about, is there another solar farm being proposed somewhere other than this one?
We haven't gotten any other applications, have we, Jan? Or
We've received the one letter giving us last month saying that they were giving us a heads up that there was going to be one. And from what I have heard from the county level about that, it's approximately a 500-acre farm on McHenry Valley Road. And then I was told by a resident today that he is looking at a solar farm. So we enacted the solar law just in time.
Yeah. I thought there was also, because I got a call from a guy giving me a heads up, and I thought his project was on 21 between Alfred and Andover.
That is that's a different one. Yep. So there's 4.
Isn't 500 acres the very highest, I mean, a really high acreage farm? Is there any 500 acres farms in New York right now?
I think the one in Burns is pretty close to that.
Yes, the one in Burns is, and the one in Belfast, Angelica is also the Success golf course is now a solar farm. And that's 500 acres.
and they have a 1,000-acre farm being developed in the town of Mount Morris.
Right.
Wow.
But what they do when they develop these, like the 600-acre farm in Burns, they break them up into different size solar farms. So it's not 600 continuous acres of solar panels. You might have 25 or 30 acres of solar panels in this area, and then moving over to a different area so that they can maximize their sunlight and at the same time keep their solar farm maintenance manageable, if you will, so that they can, so they encompass 600 acres, but they might have 8 or 10, 25, 30 acre farms in those areas. There's one right along 70A just outside of Cancerega, between Cancerega and Route 36. That is part of the Burns process. And so they don't put 500 acres all together as one big farm. They pick them up and they move them, they set them around so that they can maximize their sunlight and the utilization of the landscape of the land.
Now, do you, Bill, or Jim, or anybody know? I know over north of Corning, they have some solar farms where people buy in, like an individual invests $30,000 in part of this solar farm, and then you get the electricity off of it. Is that what these are, or do you have any idea?
Pretty much the Alfred Community Solar, the one that they want to put up on Randolph and Lake Road. That's what that's going to be. They've sold subscriptions to it. So people will invest in it and they'll get percentage off their electric bills for a certain amount of time. And that's how they get their payback on it. Some of the farms are like that. Most of them are the medium-sized community farms, but the major, like the big farms, the Moraine Farm, the one in Burns, that power is being utilized by an energy company going straight to the power grid.
Interesting.
And that's the same as the solar farm in Belfast, Angelica.
Right.
So does the same thing. This is huge. Allegheny County is becoming a solar farm central for New York State. It's amazing the number of applications that have come through the planning board at the county at this level, and having 4 more just in our area is remarkable.
That's funny, Jim, because when I went to Alfred, they said the sun never shines in Alfred.
Most people tell me that.
Just once a week, according to
Yeah, I
Dave
was going to
Snow.
say there's a publication that asserts once a week. Is there anything else we need to talk about tonight? Once again, I want to thank everybody for your work that everybody's doing, on the planning board, Wendy with her group, and everybody working on the budget, Jan's hard work on the budget as well. So I think we've positioned ourselves as well as we can going into the new fiscal year. So if there's nothing else to come forward, and again, thanks to Fian for setting up the Zoom,
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I did real quick just I posted the village survey to our the front homepage of our website,
Great.
or a link to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move to adjourn. Dan?
Is there a second?
I'll
So
second.
moved. Zoom has made us efficient.
Yes, it certainly has. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Jan.